Okay, so now we move on to activity 2 of our 5th tutorial. What we're going to be doing now is creating an Auger bit. Same thing as always, we're going to just save our design. Save this as Auger bit. Save. So now you can see our component is saved as such. Now what we're going to do first is we are going to create a sketch, and we're going to select the front plane since we want our Auger bit to be facing upwards. So we'll select the line tool, go from the center, and we're going to make this 750 millimeters long. We'll left click, hit escape to stop the line. Again, if it's not already constrained to the vertical constraint, make sure it is. For now, I'll finish the sketch. What I'll do next is I'll go into create, and I'll create a pipe, which is over here. Again, if you can't find it, just type in the yes shortcut and search for it there. So now with the pipe, I'm going to select our path. So unlike previous ones where you could select the face and stuff, you need to select a path for the pipe command. In this case, I'm going to select the path that we just made, and I'm going to make our size 38 here. And that's basically the diameter of our pipe. But the whole point of a pipe is that there's a hole in the middle, right? Right now we have a cylinder. So what we're going to do is we're going to select hollow, and you can see it's created our hole. Right, if I uncheck this, you can see it's back to being a cylinder. So in this case, I want our hole, or in this case section thickness, to only be 3. The section thickness in this case would be think of it as the walls of your pipe. How thick do you want your walls to be? In this case, I want it to be 3 millimeters thick. New body, that's okay. I'll select okay, and now I have my pipe. So again, you could also do this by creating a sketch, extruding it outwards, but just to familiarize you guys with the pipe command. So right now I have a pipe, and what I'm going to do is I want to create that spiralized shape. Now in Fusion, you don't really have that kind of a command as far as I'm aware. So we need to sort of hack our way through it. And this is sort of to demonstrate how you can use the tools you have to create new shapes. So I'm going to go into my create, and this time I'm going to select coil, right? And you can see what a coil is. It should be self-explanatory. I'm going to select it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the very top of my pipe over here. So once I click it, you can see it creates a sketch plane. I'm going to select the very center of my pipe, which is here in the origin. And I'm going to drag this out onto the inside edge, which is 32 millimeters. So once I click it, you can see now it's giving me my coil command. So from here, I'm going to select my face. Yeah, anyway, so this is, if you already see this, that's fine. What you can do is you can adjust the sort of angle, sort of height, sorry, and the direction with this. So you can use the arrows and just sort of coil it downwards. In this case, I'm gonna coil it down to negative 450, like so. So this should be 450. We are going to position this on the outside, and what we're gonna do is make the section size 3. So you can see it's thinned our coil essentially. So from here, we basically made it the same thickness as our pipe, right? And we are going to create a new body. That looks okay to me. Just double checking. It's fine. So now, if you can see, it's a bit hard to see, but we have our coil, right? It's a separate body. So if I were to go in here and hide my pipe, you can see that it is a separate body on its own, right? And if you want to extrude cut, you can do so if you want. Excuse me. In this case, what we're going to do next is we are going to hide the first body. I basically want to create a flat rectangular shape that goes all around my coil, right? So in this case, what I can do is actually I'm going to re-show my pipe, and I want essentially to have a line that goes out this way. And what I can do now is create a plane, right, and make sure this is touching my point. So I'm gonna hide this here just to show you the pipe here. I want it to be essentially straight from there. So what I'll do is, if I look at my pipe, you can see this is a flat plane. So all I can do is just create a sketch from here. What I'll do is I'll rotate so that I can find this point, because I want this point really. So I'll press Project P, and I'll select on this point where my line is. Alright, I'll hit OK. Now what I'll do is I'll create a line, and I'll basically make it a vertical line. And in this case, I'll make it 113 millimeters. Okay, like this. Hit escape, so you got my line, like so. So again, create a sketch on this face, project your point using the P, and then draw a line that's perpendicular. If I look from the front, you can see perpendicular, yeah. It will be straight, like so. That's also the vertical constraint. So in this case, I will finish sketch. And right now we have a line that is on top of our coil, essentially. So anyways, I have this line right now, and I want to follow this path. So again, you're going to sweep, right? But if you try to sweep, I can't, because this isn't a body. This is a line, right? But the good thing about vectors is that they don't have a thickness to them. Now, what else doesn't have a thickness to them? Surfaces. Surfaces do not have geometry. So now if we go into the surface model and we select our sweep tool, now we can select it. Because, again, we're essentially creating a surface from a line, right? A vector. And now we can select our path, and you should be able to see that it will follow. Now, this is a little bit off right now, which I suspected might be an issue. So what we'll do is, because you have to select a few extra functions. In this case, we're not using a guide rail. We're going to use a guide surface. So we select path and guide surface. We'll keep the same, the profile and the path. And now for our guide surface, we are basically going to select, I think the bottom one should be fine. Like this. No. Let's try the top. Yeah, this might be an issue. Wait, maybe it's this one here. Yeah, okay, sorry. So you don't select you select the coil face itself. So this is just old school Fusion, you used to select the bottom. But now, as you can see, it's created our spiral. Okay, so just in case you're lost, let's just exit everything here. This is blank. You've just selected sweep. You forgot to select anything. Profile is what you want to sweep, right? In this case, our profile isn't a face, it's a line. So we select our line. Now, what's the path we want to follow in the sweep? In this case, it's the coil, right? So we only have the one path here, you can see, right? Because it's a coil. So we're going to select this path. You can see it's selected all the way through. And now for our guide surface, we are basically saying we want to guide it along the surface here. And so if you select this face, the outer face, not this one like I did before, because this is old school Fusion, now you get our helix shape like so, right? So we have a new body, that's fine. We'll hit OK. Wait for it to load. And now you can see we have our surface body. And you can tell the difference because it's orange, right? And it's a surface. So now if I bring back my pipe, and what I'll do just to make things clear is I'll do pipe. I'll rename this my coil. Okay. And I'll just call these my Auger Helix. Okay, you can name it whatever you want. This is just so that you guys can follow along in case you get lost. So I don't need my coil anymore because I really just want my surface like this. So right now you can already see this is looking a lot like my Auger bit, but it's only a surface. I don't actually have a geometry, remember? So how do I convert this surface into a body with a thickness, right? In this case, what I would do is I would go and find the thicken command. Thicken, like so. So I'll type S and I'll type in thicken. And now you can see I can select the face. So I'm going to select just my Auger Helix face, the surface. I'm going to say I want it to be 3.5 millimeters, sorry. So I'm going to say I want it to be 3.5. Let's just try symmetric. Hang on, Fusion is sort of bugging out on me. Oh, yep, Fusion has crashed. Just a second.
Computer says no.
You f***ing what, mate?
So, honestly, I'm not very sure. Usually the thicken command should work. But what I want you to do is if you... Let's just ignore this 1 second. So if you've gotten to this stage here, I mean, this will work fine if you're just doing like renderings and stuff, but I want it to actually be modeled. So I'm going to ignore what I've done before. So I'll just go back in my timeline. Happy little accidents. We'll just delete this, it's not an issue. And we're going to bring back my coil. Sorry, I need to change this. So pipe and coil. Okay. So what we can also do in this case, I kind of wanted to demonstrate the thicken command, but maybe it's better for a bit less complex geometry. So again, I've got my sketch, and what I've done before is I've got a line like this, right? So if you're at this stage, it's fine. What we'll do is we'll create another line, and we'll make this a rectangle now. So let me just move this dimension. So we'll go down by 3.5. I'm going to just extend it out just to make sure I've got the right name, and I'm going to select 3.5 down. And again, I can just use the trim tool and cut off the edge there. So now I have a rectangle. Alternatively, you can always just create a 2-point rectangle and dimension it that way. In this case, I already had the line, so I did it this way. And I'm going to finish sketch. So you can sort of see what I'm trying to do. I'm essentially doing the same thing to my surface I am with this sketch profile. So instead of a line, I'm using the face. Now, the reason I don't like to do this, and the reason I wanted to use the surface, was because if you ever wanted to make changes to your surface, it's a lot easier to do with a surface than with the sketch itself. It's just sort of better practice, I suppose. But anyways, since that didn't work, we were forced to kind of use the previous one. So again, we're going to hide our pipe and do the same thing. We are going to go back to the solid workspace, sweep, select our face this time. Again, we do path and guide surface. We're going to select the coil path over here. For our surface, we're going to select the surface of our coil. Give it a second to load. And you can see it's done essentially the same thing. We'll switch this to new body. Or actually, if we bring our pipe and we select join, hit OK. Now we have our pipe with the auger drill bit like so. You see? So right now this is still quite flat, so since this is the start, we are going to want to give this a little bit of a chamfer. So again, we'll just chamfer here, and we'll just drag it in till it's about there. That should be fine. Hit OK, and you can see it's automatically chamfered this down. So now, oh, I just realized we actually can't, I made a mistake here. When I swept, you can see here in the join, right, I've actually joined my coil along with it. So if I hide my coil, hit join, now my coil isn't a part of it. So remember back in the last activity when I said if I accidentally join or cut things, I can just go back to the tool, hide it, and now it's not part of my body anymore. Now I don't need my coil anymore, so what I can do is I can, you see there's two options, I can delete it or I can remove it, right? Now if I delete it, what's going to happen is my coil, remember it's here, is one of the key vital components for the rest of my tools to work, like sweep and drawing my sketch on. So if I were to delete my coil, I'm telling Fusion this never ever existed ever, just gone. In which case all my other subsequent commands are going to fail. So I want this to not be in my design workspace to clear the clutter, but I still want it to be referenced. So how can I do that? Well, this is where remove comes in. So if I hit remove, you can see my call command is still there, but it's no longer in my body, right? So it's out of sight, out of mind. So when in doubt, just hit remove. If you know for a fact you're not going to use it, then you can hit delete. But as a beginner, until you're more proficient, I would suggest stay with remove. Remove will appear as a timeline history command. So if you ever decide, actually I don't want to remove it, I can click on this and hit delete, and now I'll be back. In this case I don't, so I'll Control Z.
What the hell have you done, Fry? Relax. She can't be my grandmother. I figured it all out. Of course she's your grandmother, you perverted dope. Look!
Come back to bed, dearie.
Ah! It's impossible. I mean, if she's my grandmother, who's my grandfather? Isn't it obvious? You are.
Did you say something, dearie? I'm a bit hard of hearing.
And so now I have my auger bit. And if I try to drive this into the ground, it would be pretty horrible. So now what I want to do is to create a pointed edge. So sort of like a cone. Now how do you think I would do that? Yep, so exactly. So with the loft, remember if you remember it, you see how we can create two different shapes. So to demonstrate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sketch along the XY plane, right? So here if I bring my origin back, you can see here this is in the middle because remember we started in the center. So we have our sketch along here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to project this edge so I can get my straight line. Hit OK. We are going to create a new line. I'm going to find the middle center point, again denoted with the triangle constraint. And we are going to make this, I don't know, let's just make it 50. So we'll make this 50. Again, we'll do a construction line because we're not going to sketch this out to a face. And by default, there's already a point, but just in case, we can always put another point here in our sketch and replace a point. Finish sketch. And again, we have our point, similar to how we did it for the light bulb. And what we're going to do is we don't want to create a cone and leave this filled up, right? We essentially want a cone that starts from here and goes up to the top and from the outer edge into the same top itself. We know we want that conical shape, right? But we want to keep this part empty. So what I can do, actually now that I think about it, there's two ways. One is the surface way. So I'll demonstrate that because I showed it just now. What I'll do is I'll create a loft surface under the surface workspace, remember. And what I'm telling it now is I want my profile here, the circle, and I want to create a surface that lofts to the point, right? And so what it's done is done that. Now actually this isn't the best. Now that I think about it, if I were to 3D print this probably wouldn't come out very well. Because if you think about it, this point is the same point. So as you loft the surfaces, and I'll show you in an example later. For now, we'll repeat that for this point, and we need to show this point again. Okay, so now, yeah, it looks like I've done it right. But now that I think more about this, if I was trying to 3D print this, let's say, if you can see, I essentially have a 0 thickness point here, and this is just going to increase in thickness, right? And so, yeah, this might work, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really want to do it this way, but I'll just finish up for the sake of this demonstration. What I want to do now is to hide my body, right? And you can see here just the two surfaces. What I can then do is I can patch these things together, this surface here. So I'm going to patch the whole thing because I don't need to care about the middle part. I'm going to look for boundary fill under my shortcuts. I'm going to select all three faces. If you say I can't select it here, I can always select it here, right? So I can shift click all these three, select cells, and I'll select the one in the middle. That's the one I want. I can remove tools. This will get me on my surfaces. And oh, I'm done. Hang on. One second.
How you selected the cells?
How I selected the cells? Just shift click on. Oh, you can select cell here, and it should be a little box. Should select that. I don't know. Yeah, okay, there we go. So this is basically telling you the volume you want to select. So this is now my 3D body. But again, if I were to cut it in half and show you, this is not gonna 3D print very well. Obviously, you're gonna find that this is just a hole, right? So now that I think about it, what's another way you could do this? Okay, so we've got a pipe, we've got a point, right? This is a face. So what we do is we just create go back to solid. We create a sketch. We'll project this circle. Right, so we have our entire face. We have two faces, essentially. You can click them like this. Finish sketch. So again, we'll select the loft tool. We're going to select both of these faces. If this doesn't work, then we'll create a new sketch, no worries. We're going to select the point, and we're going to select new body. So now this has made a cone for us, right? Hit OK. And if we were to hide the pipe, then what we're going to do is we're going to create a shell. So you can see here, if I were to cut this in half, you can see here this is going to print fine. So now we have our pipe. Simply combine it. So we'll select combine, select our pipe body as well as our cone. And now we have our single body, which we again going to inspect because we want to make sure it's all connected. So that's fine, that's what we want. We'll finish this off by just adding a little edge here. So again, we'll go to the bottom, like so. Select the face, create a sketch. You can once again project this line. We will offset it. We'll make an offset of about, let's just do 10. 10 is fine. Finish our sketch. Hit E for extrude. Bring it down by about 70. You can hit join. Okay. And then now we have our attachment that we can then screw onto our drill bit or whatever that we want. And so now we have our auger bit. We can always give it an appearance. In this case, maybe I want it to be some sort of steel. Oops. And I'll just do stainless steel polished. Right, it's brand new. And so there we have our auger bit. It's got a sharp edge here. And let's just say I'm gonna try this, but let's just say we want this to actually go in as well, right? We want this to not be such a long edge, even though auger bits aren't shaped this way. But let's just say I want to make something new. I'm gonna delete my previous chamfer in the timeline, and what I can do here is I can go into chamfer, select my other edge instead, and this should let me go back down. But you can see it only lets me go down to a certain edge, because remember, this isn't a perfect helix. It is essentially sort of boxes that are conjoined together to create the appearance of a helix. This is just a limitation of CAD. In future, if you want to be more precise, you would actually go into form modeling, but this is a little bit advanced, so we'll stay away from that for now. Again, how do I want this to connect anyways a bit more at an angle. That's fine. I can always go to distance and angle, or two distances. In this case, I'll just go to angle because it's a bit easier, I think. Oh wait, wrong way. I'll go two distances and I'll just pull it about there if I wanted to, right? Again, this is limited, so you may have to use some sort of sketch to cut it out instead. Play around with it, know the limitations. In this case, maybe what I'll do is I'll just create a offset sketch. From here, bring it down somewhere, a bit too high, say somewhere there. Create a sketch. Now I can't see stuff from there, so I'm just gonna flip it over to the top. Again, I want to make sure that I'm essentially starting from this point, so I'll create a projection of this point. I'll hit OK. I'll create a line, and I want to give it, oops, I want to make it, I don't know, maybe like this. So again, I'll just draw a line out, doesn't matter, because what I want to do now is I want to connect this to my line. Actually, I can just connect it this way, it's fine, just to be sure. And if I finish the sketch and I extrude this down, it should cut my body off. And now it's a little bit better, but not quite what I want still. So maybe I might actually, instead of a straight line, what I'll do is I'll switch this with a spline. So I'll go back to my, yeah, go to a spline. It's just roughly anywhere I want, doesn't matter. Let's try something like that. Again, I'm not really going to try and make this look nice. You can try it for yourself. Do whatever. Sketch. Let's try. How does this turn out? No, a little bit better, but you see what I mean. You can play with it, make it a tangent so that it's more curved, fits nicer. But do what you will. This is how you can sort of adjust. Again, there's no native Helix tool in Fusion, so this is your closest way of creating this sort of shape. Again, I wouldn't recommend you do this for screw threads unless you really have to. There's already an integrated thread command. But if you need to make you know, drill bits or whatever, this is one way you could probably do it.